Welcome over to We Talk Film. I'm your host Barry, joined by Clayton as always. How are you, Clayton?
Hi Barry.
It feels like
I'm
it's
doing good.
been a while since we've done this. It's been a whole 2 weeks.
We're not going to talk about that.
We're not
This
gonna
is
talk about
that. Regular programming. I don't know what you're insinuating
we're
there, Barry.
definitely we definitely are on schedule.
Yeah.
We have a schedule.
We have a schedule.
Yes. As I read the script.
Yeah, speaking of scripted schedules, all that jazz, we are bringing you a movie today. It's not a
Yes,
TV
we're
show.
finally talking about a movie. Finally, on a film podcast, we're talking about a movie. Yippee.
We're back to We Talk Film, boys
I'm
and
so
gals.
happy. Yeah.
Yep. All right, so without further ado, JDs and Lentilmen, we are going to head on over to the news.
The news. I always forget that we have a button. And then it's like, hey, there's a big button. I've even labeled it on the thing. It's like the most brightest color, so I remember to press it. Then all the other soundboard effects.
Oh, that's so funny. You have to show me your soundboard. I like to imagine that it's just this physical, huge keyboard with like 3 buttons.
It's a giant desk. All right. And there's these 3 massive
There's
buttons.
only 3 buttons.
Yeah.
One says news, one says intro, and the other's like an eject button. And
yes. That's the one I go flying out the window.
Yeah. Okay. So we got a lot of news because we're covering 2 weeks of content.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. First thing is we got a couple trailers that I'd like to mention. The first being The Boys season 4. A show that we're both really excited for. It looks good. It looks like more of good stuff, more of what we've had.
More of The Boys.
More The Boys. Sure, cool. That looks good. The other thing we got a trailer for Francis Ford Coppola's Megalus, in which we got like a clip for Adam Driver's on a rooftop and he stops time or something. Yeah. I don't know what this movie is about. It looks cool. I'm intrigued. I don't know what's going on. It looks like The Matrix. A lot of people were comparing it to The Matrix.
It probably is just like a copy of The Matrix, and Francis Ford Coppola's just like, what's The Matrix? I've never heard of this film before.
He's never actually watched it, and he just thinks it's a new idea. He's made.
Yeah.
God damn it! No one wanted to tell him. Oh, that'd be hilarious. Okay. That's it for trailers, but actual news, there is an abundance. Okay. I'm gonna go through it really quick. Starting with DC. We got our first look at David Corenswet's Superman.
Yes, we did.
Barry, what are your thoughts on this? Because it's shaping the internet in a wacky way.
Yeah. Like, I'm happy that we are getting finally a review of what he's looking like and stuff like that. I'm enjoying the suit. It's not the best picture I would have released to showcase it all in all of its gloriness. It's like a really bad picture, if I'm being honest. I'm just like, why? Why did they just get a picture of him putting on his boots and you can't see like any of the cool parts of the suit? It should have been like him standing like he's, like a proper Superman pose, like on the top of a building or something like that. And like we could have seen all the full glory of the suit. But no, I'm enjoying the suit so far. It is very much like a Jim Lee design suit, which I really do enjoy his take on how he designed Superman and everything like that. And that looks like what they're going for. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah. Oh, hey, look, I'm a fan. I saw it and I was like, this looks really cool. And then I saw that like everyone in the comments on that post was just like, this is the worst thing ever. This looks horrible. It was so divisive, and I'm like, why? I don't know.
Yeah. That's the thing. We haven't even seen in a trailer yet. We haven't seen the movie yet. Everyone did the exact same thing when Henry Cavill was first seen putting on the suit. Like, I remember that. People were like, this looks like shit.
And I'm still in the boat that I still don't like Henry Cavill's Superman suit. It was never good. Never liked it. So I'm all for this suit because it looks significantly better. But it's never going to be as good as Christopher Reeve's suit. It's just that suit.
No.
All of the rest of them don't fit. But Next DC thing. We got reports. Well, not reports. We got an announcement that Frank Grillo is going to be starring as Rick Flag Sr. in Creature Commandos,
Yep.
as well as Peacemaker Season 2. This is like the first thing that's gonna cross over from
Yeah.
Peacemaker to the new DC. It's like the first little look into how the universes are working. I'm still not sure how Peacemaker could continue,
Yep.
but I don't know. That's like it's one step closer to us figuring it out.
You know, I
Sure.
trust James Gunn with all this stuff. I feel like he's got it in his mind all mapped out, being like, well, this is the next 10 years of everything I'm going to make, and I'm going to write every single one of the
Yeah.
things.
It sure seems that way. Oh boy. Okay, moving away. Oh god, we've got lots of like season 2 announcements. So the first one that I'd like to
Wahoo!
bring up is Ted. Ted is getting a second
Yes.
season. I
Yes.
still haven't watched it.
It is
Everyone still
one
loves
of
it,
the
and
best
I
comedy shows
yeah,
in the past 10 years. It is phenomenal.
I haven't watched it yet. I will, Barry. Don't worry.
Please watch it.
Okay, I will. And then the next thing is we got an announcement for something that's kind of really sad, but we saw coming. Shogun season 2. The actor that plays Toranaga, Hiroyuki
Yep.
Samada, has signed a deal, saying that he will return, which is basically confirming a second season without confirming a second season.
Yep.
I'm sure that that still counts as it can go for a limited
The
awards,
series.
like limited
Yeah.
series award, because it
Yep.
hasn't been confirmed yet or all of that. We knew it was coming, but
Yeah.
okay, sure. At least, well, we do know that it's going to be continuing Toranaga if they do a second season, which is
Yeah.
actually really cool,
Yep.
considering he's the first person that we've got
Well,
confirmation that
that's
they're
the
signing
thing.
on.
Yeah,
So that's
they
really
could
cool.
sign him up, but they could do flashbacks about like a form, like his younger life and
Yeah,
everything.
I
So,
guess. But would they cast him as younger Toranaga? They feel like
well,
they'd have
you could
someone
do
young,
it like
like,
so he's telling the story, so it like cuts back between like past and future.
ooh,
Yeah,
oh, that'd actually be really cool if he's
yeah,
telling the story. Or even like after he's done his Shogun stuff, like he's on his deathbed telling his grandchildren about being
could be.
Shogun. That would be really cool. It's actually a great idea, Barry. Why aren't we
Wait a minute.
pitching that
Why
idea to
aren't we the
Disney?
writers for the show?
Wait a minute. That's actually that's so cool. I love that. Okay, next thing. Let's go over to Marvel, shall we? Because we've got
Yay.
a casting announcement. Ralph Innocent, I can't pronounce his name. He's cast as
Something.
Galactus in
Yeah.
Fantastic Four. That's cool. He has a great voice. I like
Yeah.
his voice. It's missing. Like it
I mean,
fits
I'm
really well
happier
for
that
Galactus.
it's not Javier Bardem. I think it was originally they were
Mm-hmm.
gonna get. I'm just like, please let anyone else but him be it. And I was like, oh, they actually casted kind of like an unknown, not as big a celebrity for this role. And I was like, I'm down for that.
Yeah, I think it makes sense considering
Yeah.
everyone else in this movie is a huge actor, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, they got Pedro
sure.
Pascal in it. Like, that's basically everyone.
Yeah, that's true. He's in everything. So you get him in every show ever. He's in it. I know.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Then the next Marvel thing is that they're cracking down on their release schedule. They've put out an
Yes.
announcement saying that they're not releasing any more than 3 movies and 2 TV shows per year going forward, which is still what I think an excessive amount. Um, but
But
it's
it's
good.
better than what they've been
Hopefully,
doing.
what they've been doing because in like the first year of Marvel TV, we had like 4 or 5 shows and like 7
Yeah.
movies. Um, so I'm sure that it's a good thing. Hopefully, it means that the writing and everything improves on the films
Hopefully.
because it gives them more time to perfect the movies before they come out. I don't know.
Yep.
I hope so. But it also could mean that we get, I don't know, 3 Ant-Man 3s and then 2 Secret Invasions a year. I don't have high hopes yet.
Yeah, yeah.
No. Okay, that's it for Marvel. And then we've got a couple more just random stories to go through. We're getting a new Lord of the Rings film.
Yes,
That
we
was a big
are.
announcement that I
That
Wouldn't have put
was
on
a
my bingo
weird
card.
and like random announcement, and especially as well, they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, we're doing a movie." The next day, that is like, "Oh, this is what the movie's about." And I was like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah, it was just kind of thrown at us. It wasn't like released in any way. It was just, oh,
yeah,
we're doing this. Okay, sure. But anyway, it's called The Hunt for Gollum, and
yep,
it's starring and directed by Andy Serkis, which is cool. He's done some cool
yeah."
stuff.
He has done some cool
He's
stuff.
great as Gollum. So sure,
I mean,
I'm not
he is
quite
Gollum.
sure.
Who else you gonna get to play Gollum? The man is
Yeah,
Gollum.
they're doing it before he dies because then they won't have a
Yeah.
golem. But no, I'm just a little concerned about the story of this. It feels like it's kind
Yes.
of something that we've seen done like before in other things. We've seen it in video games. We've seen it in like books and other stuff. It feels like it's the most generic Lord of the Rings story they could have told
Yeah,
afterwards,
it
considering Lord of
depends
the
on
Rings is
like
huge.
how they're doing it, I suppose. The
I
only
don't
thing,
know.
because I thought like in the books and stuff like that, the hunt for Gollum, I haven't like read too much into it. But wasn't like Legolas part of that, like the hunt for him? Because that's what he was
Yeah,
like searching. So
yeah.
it's just like, are they going to get Orlando Bloom back, who is now old and doesn't look like how he did anymore, to play Legolas
I'm
again?
not sure. I'm not sure. Well, in the Hunt for Gollum story, if they do it like that, it's Legolas and Aragorn are both like prominent features in it. Which again, Viggo
Yeah.
Mortensen is a little bit past Aragorn age, unless this is like a weird sequel and they make that like Gollum lived falling or
I
something. I don't know.
okay. I don't know
I
either.
I doubt it. That would be terrible, terrible writing. In order to bring him back,
Yeah.
but who knows? I don't know. They did
We'll
Rings of
find out.
Power, so it wouldn't
Yeah.
surprise me if they do something stupid.
Yep.
But okay, moving away to another thing that looks kind of cool but is a little concerning. Blade Runner 2099, it's Amazon
Yes.
Prime series, has announced that they've cast Michelle Yeoh in its lead role, and
Yep.
that's kind of all we know about the show.
That's everything.
I have mixed feelings about the idea of a 2099 series. I don't know how you feel about this, like as a thing.
I don't want it to be a thing at this point in time. I am
Really?
quite happy with them not really touching Blade Runner at this point in time. I feel like it's too soon still after the effects
Okay.
of 2049. That's the thing, because I love 2049. Like, I prefer it over the original Blade Runner, even though to me they are very
It's
different films and
debatable.
they are like, depending on how I'm feeling, like it's on par with one another. But most of the time, just because like visually, I prefer 2049. But it's still just like it wasn't received that well. I don't see this show being received as well. Also, when it does finally come out, I don't think
Yeah.
there's enough people in the world to be like, "Oh wow, Blade Runner, such a big, amazing thing." I'm still just like Blade Runner is such a niche like movie and franchise that I just don't feel like it's going to be this big popular thing. But that could change though. That could change depending on
Yeah,
like
I
what
don't
it's
know.
actually about because we don't know what it's about yet.
I don't know. No, I'm kind of there for it. I'm just a little concerned about the idea of doing it as a series. I don't know if Blade
Yeah.
Runner as like a property can
Well,
work
they've
in long
done
form.
an anime before as a series. There is an
Yeah.
anime, Black
And
Lotus, which was like based before
mhm,
the events
mhm.
of 2049. Um, wasn't that great, but it was still just like more of the world of Blade Runner, I suppose. And there is a lot of lore to it. Like there's books for like Blade Runner and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
still,
yeah.
though, we're going like 2099, which is a whole like another 50 years after 2049.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what story is there to tell? So
I don't know. It could be really cool. I
yeah,
mean, look at something like Cyberpunk for an example of a longer form
exactly.
story.
Yep.
Um, it could be really cool. And Michelle Yeoh isn't a great actress. I'm all for her playing the lead role. I think that's an interesting choice. I have
Yeah.
no idea if anything else in the show is going to work, but I guess we'll wait and see. It's Prime Video. They've been having some hits recently. I mean, they adapted Fallout really well,
And they also
as
did
the
Rings
last
of
example.
Power. So, you know.
They also did Rings of Power, hence my, like, umming and ahhing,
Yep.
like,
Yep.
mixed feelings about the idea of Blade Runner. Um, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Okay, and then final story this week is we got a for Riddick 4. I don't know if you're a big Riddick fan, Chronicles of Riddick, whatever the other ones were called with Vin Diesel. But they're doing a fourth one.
Yeah.
He's coming back.
Yep.
That's yeah, that's more of
Yeah.
that. Are you excited?
I mean, I'm happy. Like the Riddick franchise is kind of one of those franchises where I'm just like every time he did release another, I'm just like fuck yeah. Like it's the only like franchise I kind of like with Vin Diesel in it because he doesn't talk a lot.
You're right. That's right. That must be it. That's
Yeah.
true. Riddick is it's one of those things that I forget exists. Every
Yeah.
time someone brings up Riddick, I'm like, oh, yeah, I've seen that. I
Yeah.
forget that happened. Oh, I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you much about it, other than
Well,
I
that's the thing,
enjoyed
because
it.
like Pitch
One of
Black,
them, at
Pitch
least.
Black, I will actually go back and watch like once a year because Pitch Black is like a phenomenal,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
sci-fi thriller film type thing. And then like the Chronicles of Riddick, which is the second one, is like one of the most like super sci-fi, like it's almost like Dune level of sci-fi. The
It
concept of
really
what they
is.
wanted to do and stuff like that. It's so wacky. And then they obviously did the third one, like what 15 years later or whatever, which is now like over 10 years old now. And I remember seeing that at cinemas because I
Yeah.
was so excited. Like, oh, they finally got to do another one. It's going to continue it. And then it like left on the biggest cliffhanger ever type thing. Being like,
Yeah.
oh, and then they never announced they're going to do another one. Well, you tried to, but it just never got the
They never
funding.
did.
But now they now are going to be making another one.
Yeah.
So,
You're finally gonna find out what happens next, Barry.
yeah. And they got to leave this one on a cliffhanger as well. I'm just like,
Oh, it
kill the
would be
man.
so
Please
funny
kill the man.
if if they just didn't like cliffhanger of the third one. They just tell a
Yeah.
completely new story, and then end on another cliffhanger.
It's just a
It's just
reboot.
two cliffhangers, but it never answered. It's a reboot, yeah. But he's
Yeah.
like 20 years older. Okay. That's it for the news, Barry. So why don't you give us the
Nice.
rundown of what we're talking about today?
Yes, so today we are finally talking about a movie we have mentioned many a times on the podcast over the past few months. A small film that has turned into a big film called Monkey Man.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for a fight? 1, 2, 3.
But yes, Monkey Man, starring Dev Patel as Kid, an anonymous young man who ekes out a meager living in an underground fighting club. Night after night, wearing a gorilla mask, he is beaten bloody by more popular fighters for cash. After years of suppressed rage, Kid discovers a way to infiltrate an enclave of the city's sinister elite. And his childhood trauma boils over. His mysterious, scarred hands unleash the explosive campaign of retribution to settle the score with the men that took everything from him. So yes, this is very much revenge story. People killed my mother. I am going to get my revenge and kill all of them. It is one of the best action films I've probably seen this year thus far from a very small director. Well, this is first time director Dev Patel. Obviously, we know him from a lot of films and stuff like that. He wrote this, produced it, did cinematography. The man did everything for it. And basically,
everything.
for this film, everything that could go wrong making a film happened in this film. How much like stuff that went wrong while making this film is absolutely insane. But yes, this is Monkey Man.
Well, yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so going into this, I'd only heard about it in the news. Of course, looking at it being like, oh, Dev Patel broke 7 bones during filming of this, or it's going really poorly, or they're having this and this. I'm not quite sure if it was delayed at all, but I feel like it was close at one point.
Yeah.
It was delayed. Yes, that as well. And then I knew nothing about it. When I started watching it, I'd only seen the trailer. I didn't even really look into it that much. And then when I was over it, I was kind of over it.
Yeah.
I will
yeah.
say. This was about as, like, straightforward as a revenge story can go.
Yeah.
The only thing that really kept me hooked throughout the entire, like, 2-hour, 10-minute runtime, that the action's really engaging.
Yep.
It's really brutal. The fight scenes are really cool. But other than that, there's not a lot here to, like, hang on to. I don't know how
No.
you felt
No.
about it,
Yeah.
but there's
The only
barely any
like
story.
good thing I suppose going into this film is like finding out more behind the scenes of actually how the hell did this movie get made? Because oh my gosh, let me
Yeah,
like say a few of the problems that they had during the
go
production
for it.
of this film. So first of all, the first 2 weeks before this was training, he broke his hand, which he then had to get a nail put in. And he said anything was it about the doctor said to him, basically anything from 2 pounds of like pressure put onto that hand where the nail is will cause the nail to be stuck in there forever and they can't get it out type thing.
Ouch.
So during this entire time, he could not put any like pressure onto his hand. And he's doing all his stunts in this, by the way. They did have stunt people, but when
What an
it's actually
idiot. Oh,
Dev Patel
boy.
in the tape, it's actually him doing it, which is absolutely insane. Because one of the first things that they did was the first fight scene of the film where it's all like the bartenders and he tries to like jump out the window type thing, which absolutely fails. And it's the most hilarious part ever. Because it's just like obviously the big action behind all this, very much a concept of John Wick-esque. They do make an actual reference
Mhm.
in the movie, which was absolutely hilarious. They're like, "Oh, this is the gun from John Wick. You like John Wick, yeah?" They're like, "Obviously, yes, very much." But yeah, like obviously they had to do a fight while he was doing all this. He then broke toes as well, which then he had big foot. It was swelling up all the time. So most of the time he's actually got like they cut open the boot that he was wearing so that the swelling could go, but he still kept like filming and still doing all the scenes.
Ow.
Basically, they broke multiple cameras. They broke, I don't know what cameras they were using. They ended up resorting to using iPhone and GoPro footage for a lot of the film, which you can see when that does happen, especially
Yes,
the
we
GoPro
can tell.
stuff. One of their cinematographers passed away during the production of this. He had a heart attack.
Mhm.
Originally, they were meant to film in India, but this was during COVID. And so that didn't happen. So they had to go to Indonesia to film everything. They were originally meant to have the stunt people from the people that did John Wick, but apparently something happened and they couldn't get him in. So then they had to find this guy from YouTube, out of all places, to be their stunt guy. So they only had like three
Okay.
stunt people doing all these things. And you can actually see throughout the film, they were just putting like prosthetics and different types of beards and that to make them look a little bit different
Oh,
throughout the entire
yeah,
film.
right.
Everything was just went wrong there.
Yeah.
People that were backing this, the company or whatever, was going bankrupt as well. So they didn't actually have enough money to finish the furnishings or something for a couple of the scenes of the movie. There's like when they go to the club and stuff like that. If you actually realize there's no tables. Well, there's stands for tables, but there's actually no table like tops type thing because they didn't have the budget to get the tabletops, and so they're just like that's the reason why a lot of the film is like up, like close up, and like it looks like people like really high up, so everything's like above waist height while they're filming and everything like that. And it's just absolutely insane. This was done on a budget of $10 million. Was originally purchased by Netflix to put onto streaming service, but then Jordan Peele was just like, no, this deserves to be in cinema, which I do agree upon, and I would have really loved to seen this in cinema because a lot of the action pieces that they do are pretty phenomenal. When you compare this to a John Wick film, which had a lot more bigger budget than this, there are a lot of elements in this where I'm just like, damn, like they got away with a lot of stuff, and just the way the choreography and the dedication behind Dev Patel during the filming of this. That's the thing. He was directing it. He wrote it. Like he's been writing this thing for like 10 years prior type thing. He wanted to tell the story forever. And then still like all the problems that did go wrong. He got an eye infection. His like lungs or something. He got like a real bad cold.
That's
Man
right,
almost died getting this film made. So it is an insane, triumphant film. And I'm happy that people that have gone to see it are doing well. I'm not sure how much money it made at box office.
I think it made its money
done
back.
like
I think it was
yeah,
doing
it
all
would
right.
definitely make its money back because that's the thing.
Yeah.
A budget of 10 million. Yeah, opening weekend US and Canada just over 10 mil.
Yeah,
Gross
okay,
worldwide,
well, that's
33
good.
million. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's made it's made probably 10 million on top of marketing and everything.
Yep.
Maybe if
Yep.
that. That's pretty
So
good
not bad at all.
considering.
Now, to the
Yeah.
downside of this film is the actual story they were trying to tell. And I am so
Yeah.
glad there is not a lot of dialogue in this film, especially with Dev Patel's character, because when it came to the dialogue scenes, I'm just like, this is kind of bad.
It really was. There were stints in this movie, long sections where I'm like, I just want him to go punch somebody because then it's
Yeah. Yeah.
enjoyable, or I want him to
Yeah.
go get his ass kicked because that's my favorite part. There's like two or three good moments of dialogue, and it's usually when
Yeah.
it's comical. Like the
Yep.
John Wick guy in the basement, his little friend that he follows him around, he's great. And then
Yep.
also the District 9 guy, the announcer for the wrestling ring. It's like
Yeah.
those
Tiger.
three, yeah, for whatever moments that they're in the film, probably like 10 minutes between all of them.
Yep.
That's when it's funny and like the dialogue works. And then the rest of the time it doesn't, and it sucks. And I'm
No.
really concerned why it took him so long to write this film, considering that it's pretty bad.
Yeah, yeah. And then also as
Yeah.
well, like a lot of the things change with the cameras and like how they actually like view things. Because that's the thing. If you do not like shaky hand footage with films, do not watch
Oh,
this
boy.
film because it is majority of the film is shaky handheld footage because that is what they use. They actually had in a couple of the scenes when they're doing the
Yep.
fighting was actually the stunt man was the cameraman.
Yeah, yeah. They had some first person like views in this
Yeah.
film, which I was not expecting. It threw me straight into like the Doom film from 2005, which is random first
yeah.
person section. Like, okay, it kind of works in this, but it also kind of takes you out of it. I'm not quite sure if first person ever works in action films.
Yeah. It's to do with like obviously there was issues with production during all this. I
Yeah,
was
no,
actually
I
just watching the
definitely,
interview
but-
earlier. Behind this, the reason why a lot of the first person hosts of like Dev Patel's character was because they were originally meant to get this other place or whatever, this other location, but they didn't. So they had to use the production office that they had and do the stairwell of that. So that's the reason why it's
that
like
just shot in the production office?
Yeah, shot in the production office because that's all they had.
That's so funny.
And then there's another scene. You know when like I think it's he's getting there's a part. So there's 3 acts of this film essentially. There's a first act where he's obviously in the wrestling cages and stuff like that. Works his way up to get a job.
Yep.
He tries to kill the man. Absolutely fails, and then he has to escape for his life and gets shot. Then there's a whole like middle act, which was kind of bad. That whole middle act, I'm just
yeah,
like,
was it temple? Or
yeah,
something?
yeah, in the temple and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And obviously there is meant to be a kind of like Indian religious background message they're trying to put into this film and everything like that, which I feel like wasn't really there in a way, and I don't know too much about it. My
hit
culture
and
type
miss.
thing, very hit and miss. And that's the thing. This film is not being released in India at all.
Really?
Yep,
What?
yeah, because
That
it's
feels like
basically
a
like
huge missed market.
anti-Hinduism. That's why.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I see a little bit of that, but I feel like
Yep.
that's a huge amount of money
That's
that they could have made.
Yep. And then the whole third act is like this all fight action and stuff like that. But basically towards the
Yeah.
end of the first act, he gets basically shot off a roof and he ends up in the river type thing. And they do all this close-up footage and stuff like that where it looks like he's in the river and all this stuff over his face. That was actually filmed in a bathtub of their hotel with an iPhone.
Wait, I kind of get it. I think I went to go get a drink when that part was happening. I was like, he's gonna be dead for a while. But
Yeah.
no, I see that. I totally get it. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yep.
I love it. I'm all for the like dedication and just the like we have to make this movie any way we can. And like considering everything that went wrong, I think they did pretty well.
Yeah.
And if like all of the things that went wrong happened on this film, but it had a stronger script, I probably would be praising this movie like immensely. But
Yeah.
because the story was really bad, if I'm honest, I'm just like
Yeah,
kind
it
of
was
over it.
Very basic
Yeah.
revenge movie. It's like people killed my family. I am going to get
was.
revenge. Yeah.
you could see what was gonna happen a mile away, and it was just
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. I know exactly what's gonna happen. There's
Yep.
nothing there. There was some flashback stuff, but I feel like it was very shoehorn thrown in. Rather than being used in a cool way, it's just like we get what happened, and then it shows us it 10 times over and over.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. Like, there's a better movie here that could have been made. Just story alone. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the
Oh
thing. Like
yeah.
at the end of the day, I feel like this is his first ever major film that he's done, and like what a
It's true.
triumphant
Yeah.
like defeat or feat to be able to make a film. This is your first film that you're doing, and this is the level of what you're bringing to the film. Just imagine if things went right
Yeah.
for him during the production of this, how much better it probably would have been, and how much more insane and stuff like that. Obviously, yeah, for a lot of films, especially for you and I, we go off story because we like writing and stuff like that. That is very much things
Yeah.
we focus on. But it was just like, what if like they did a bit more with I would have liked to seen more of Sharlto Copley's Tiger announcer and more of the underground world of it all a bit more. And building upon that, because he's always cool. Anytime you see Sharlto Copley in like any movie, you're just like, it's gonna be a good time when I see him.
So good. I love him. Yeah, you know,
and the whole
I
thing
wa-
of like the Monkey Man outfit, I wanted to see more of that.
Yeah, he calls himself Monkey Man, but he wears the mask for like 2 seconds at the end. There's a whole
Yeah.
like segment where he bleaches it and he wears it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
No,
then
and he
takes
doesn't
it off.
have a fight in it. Yeah. Yeah.
He
There is
takes
a
it off
reason
straight away.
for that, because in the beginning of the film, he's obviously has the fight scene with the monkey mask on. Apparently, it was the worst experience ever. He felt like he was going to suffocate and die. So that's the
Yeah,
reason
but he can't
why.
see shit in a monkey mask. Why would you wear that anyway?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
stupid.
So that's the reason why they
but
didn't do it for the final act.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough, but whatever. What I wish this movie was, I don't know if we want to talk about that, because first act of this film is good, leading up to him just going after the police guy, and then he gets his ass kicked. That
which was
segment,
the
that was the
hilarious
entire
thing
film.
ever. That was
Oh,
perfect.
it was great, but if that was the entire film, this would probably be a much higher rated movie.
Yeah.
Because everything after that sucked. Apart from the fight scenes, in which there wasn't much till towards the end. I really enjoyed the like opening of this film for the most part. It definitely still has its problems. There's a little bit of tropey stuff and some like, well, what was the point of that? Just like silly moments that you don't really get and doesn't really make sense, but are there.
Yep.
But if you look at this film purely based on like action entertainment, it's good. The action itself is up there with some of the best that I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
Unless like iPhone foot happens every now and then, but even that's still good. Yeah. So I don't know. What else would you like to talk about, Monkey Man?
That he was a man and not so much monkey.
Yeah, there wasn't much Monkey Man.
No,
Right.
and that's the thing. I was really hoping,
Yeah.
because like there is that scene where he does get the monkey mask and he bleaches it and stuff like that, and then he has it on for literally 5 seconds while he's just walking up to some guys, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, there was a lot of things about it that like were very hit and miss. I still enjoyed it for the most part, just because of like the action and how like such a small crew was able to like get a film like this done. And it's just absolutely insane. Like, and I want to go back through it now and like see all the parts and stuff like that and really take close detail of things, like how they built the sets and like how they like all the budget kind of constraints that they were set to. Because that's the reason. There's a lot, every single, I think, shot of this film or majority of is close up type thing. Which was, it was kind of disorienting because you don't know where you are most of the time as well. And like when they were changing the location,
Yeah.
it was just close up the entire. It would have been nice a few times if they just did it like went back just a little bit, you know, like take a couple steps back and like we
Yes,
actually could see the world
definitely.
and everything. There were most of the action scenes were done right. I'm happy with them and everything like that. But it just came down to the story and what they were trying to tell with all that. Felt very pointless and very much like the same thing we have always seen in every single revenge film type thing. And I still feel like John Wick
Yeah.
did that better because it was a dog. Where it's just like, oh, it's your mother. Like we've seen that in so many other films, or your family and stuff like that.
I know.
And it would have been like nice to see more of that. And then there's like, I forget, there's a female that they introduced at the beginning of this film that was kind of like
She's
an interest or person.
2 minutes. It doesn't matter.
She's in it for less than 2 minutes, and she's just like, what was the point of having that character at all?
No point. I feel like it was just like his girlfriend or something, and he wanted to put her in the movie. I don't know. But it doesn't make sense because the 2 minutes
she
we
felt
see her,
so
we shouldn't
forced.
see her.
It felt so
It was
forced, her
100%
character.
The first time we see her, we're introduced to her in the bar, and he's waiting while this Australian guy, I think, is like hitting on her, kissing her, like doing all sorts of lewdness. But so then he runs outside like 20 seconds later, and then the girl walks up to him. And I'm like, how did you get away from that guy? Why are you getting away from that guy? Aren't you paid to be over in there? This doesn't make any sense, like at all. It's like he should be running into you later. You felt shoehorned from the beginning, and you're in this movie for 2 minutes. Why are you here? I don't know.
Yeah,
that was stupid.
All I can find is that she's a well-known Indian actress. So
I don't know. Sure. Whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess they just needed some extra dialogue in this film because there's not much, thankfully. At least I don't remember
it's like,
much.
We need to fill it out a bit more. We can't just do action. And it would have been more. You should have just been like, do more action. That's what the prime thing, what they should have done was just more action. You should have like set it up other points throughout the film where he could have like, all right, taken out the main guy that he was wanting to get revenge on, the cop guy that killed his mum and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like halfway during the film type thing, be like, all right. But then he finds out through that it was actually, no, it wasn't him. It was the religious guy that was actually the one that set it up. And then the whole other half is like trying to get to him in his building and everything like that.
Instead, it's like, he kills the big bad guys in 2 minutes because they're alone and have no bodyguards at the end of the film.
Which was so another thing as well. When right at the end when he kills the big religious guy and stuff like that, he's just chilling there in his apartment. And he's just like, so you can either
doesn't make any sense.
Like
There's a
me,
helicopter outside as well. It's where are your guards? You could have stood at the end of a hallway and shot him and you win. Cool.
It was a whole thing.
It's so stupid. So the more I think about this movie, the more I don't like it. The action is so cool. Props for the action. Props for it being a first writing thing. Sure, you go, Dev. I hope you make more movies.
This is the thing now. From this, because since it's like receiving
film.
like quite good reviews and stuff like that, has made its money back. I am so interested, and this is the same thing we said with Michael B. Jordan when he did Creed 3. I am so excited to see where their careers go now as directors, as filmmakers, to see what they can do now after these films that they've done. Because that's the thing, like the action in this and stuff like that is absolutely phenomenal, and it's like the low quality of the low budget of what they had, and then doing the action that they did do and how it was all done and everything like that. Like, props to it. And that's the thing. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong during the production of this film. And it is absolutely insane that we are actually seeing this film, because there was many times where this film wasn't even going to get made. Or like halfway during the production, and they were just like, you have no money left.
Yeah. Oh, well. They did it in their hotel bathtubs with iPhones.
In the hotel bathtub. That's all you need. That's all you need. It's just an iPhone, people. Okay.
Well, I suppose that throws us on over to final thoughts and ratings for Monkey Man, doesn't it, Barry?
Yes, it sure does. So I'm going to give this a rating of 7 out of 10. It's a movie. I still very much enjoy.
It's a movie.
Solely, it's a movie. Mainly because there was a lot of interesting elements they did add into it. Action was done great. I feel like the whole wrestling and cage fight scene with like the tiger character, Chantal Copley's character, was really well done, and the whole underbelly world of India was like really cool. And like mainly, it comes down to the fighting and the action scenes and just the amount of like, I suppose, effort and like time and everything Dev Patel put into making this film to try and get it finished, try and actually get it made with all the problems that happened and thinking on the spot as a director as well, because like, oh, we don't have this today, oh, we don't have that anymore. Like thinking on the spot like that, using what you have is especially a big thing for us at the moment. As like upcoming filmmakers is trying to make a film that is like a very small budget even compared to this and everything, and using what we have. And he did that in a way. And I'm so happy that like Jordan Peele was happy enough to be like, hey, I really want to see this in cinemas. I want it to get out there so more people see this film type thing. And I'm happy that people actually are watching it and enjoying this film. So yeah, 7 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely a movie. I feel like this would have definitely benefited from a theater watch, just because the action, the spectacle of some of the moments in this film, it would have been definitely heightened in that. But like watching it on TV, definitely left with a lot to be desired, especially in the story department. And I really hope that the next film he does, he spends a little bit more time on the story, and the plot, or maybe adapting something, doing someone else with a writer. But he definitely can direct action.
Do the next John Wick,
yeah, I mean, well, this kind of was John Wick, and it is on par with some moments on John Wick, but it is nowhere near the first John Wick in terms of like storytelling.
Definitely not.
So I'm a little bit disappointed with this film, but it was still enjoyable. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad film. It's just it could have been so much better. That like brings it down even more.
Yes,
so I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10, which I think is a little bit generous on my part, but 6 out of 10 from me. Yeah, that's Monkey Man.
That's Monkey Man. Go and watch it if you want some action. See a monkey.
If you want some monkeys, man. There's monkeys in it.
I really wanted more monkeys, to be honest. I just wanted a whole bunch of people, at the end
when they
all came in, who have monkey outfits on, just be like, oonga boonga.
Yeah. Well, they had those like people from the temple that showed up with swords at the end, right?
That's alright. I'll go and watch Planet of the Apes. That's got all monkeys in it. Planet of the Apes has got monkeys in it.
That's true. No, but that's another thing. The guys that show up at the end, right, with the swords, and they were like, "Oh, we can't defend our temple. There's people like roughing us up. We need all the money, Monkey Man." And then they show up at the end, and they're trained fighters, like ninjas.
Yeah. Yeah. What the fuck's up with that?
They could have defended their own temple. Where did that come from? Wait. Never mind. Should I change my rating?
Never mind. Yeah. Can we change our ratings quickly?
All right.
I totally forgot about that.
Stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
Before it goes even lower.
The more we think about it, the worse it goes down. All right. So I suppose we could go over to other shows we've been kind of talking about. Can we just skip one and never mention it again? Because I am so disappointed in that show.
Gary, we have to talk about it. We have to give it a rating. Our like the people need to know.
So Bad Batch finished. That's
Thank
it.
God.
Thank God.
That's it. Okay.
Oh.
Did you want to start or should I start?
I mean, my opinion on it already. Everyone can see my opinion of this. This is How the fuck did you fuck this up, Dave? Dave Filoni.
Okay.
Like, what happened?
Let me cast everyone's mind back a couple of years to the Clone Wars Season 7, in which was the finale season of that show.
And
building
was
up
phenomenal.
To this epic... Barry, shut up, I'm telling the story. Was building up to this huge thing where you weren't quite sure who was going to live, who was going to die. The stakes had never been higher. It was building tension every episode. Characters that we know and love were dropping like flies. It was one of the greatest finales of animated TV we've ever seen. Anyway, then Filoni did the Bad Batch, and I was like, okay, this is cool. This is going somewhere. First season, I really enjoyed parts of it. Second season, again, parts of it were good. It wasn't as good, but it was alright. And then all of a sudden, he dropped his pens and scripts in a pile of dog shit and came up with the season 3 of the Bad Batch, in which is what I think the worst ending to anything Star Wars ever. Definitely the most disappointing
Mm,
ending to anything
definitely most
Star Wars ever.
disappointing.
I
Yeah,
think
I wouldn't say it's the worst. I could definitely name
maybe
trilogy of movies that were really bad.
or even Kenobi or like Book of Boba Fett or Mando season 3.
I've totally forgot they did Book of Boba Fett now. I totally forgot that was a
Good.
show.
Yeah. Okay, that's really funny. Did you see the trailer for The Acolyte where they were like, from the studio that brought you The Mandalorian, Andor, and Ahsoka, and he's just skipped over Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi?
Yep.
This
Fair
one is gonna get
enough.
skipped over in the next. That's what this feels like. This is definitely getting
Yeah.
skipped. Because it was bad. This was stupid. Barry, give us the rundown about what happens in the finale of Bad Batch season 3. I
In
know
the
you loved it.
finale, Omega and the Batch battle Imperial forces for their freedom. That's it. That's literally it.
That's kind of it. And then they get old at the end.
Then they get old at the end. No one dies. There is
Yeah,
no
no one dies.
consequences at
Stakes,
all.
Tension.
No stakes, no
conflict.
tension. There is nothing. It is literally Omega's at the base.
action.
They go in there. It's like, oh, like I can get out with the children. Oh, yes, I'm Omega. Look at me. Ooh. And then they get out and they release Godzilla. That was a thing. Godzilla goes out into the wild. Which was like,
cool.
oh, okay. And then like their batch get cornered by the Shadow Trooper people or whatever because they're better than them. And then they get captured and defeated.
Important.
They're not important though.
We thought they were important.
Yeah,
No, they're so
stupid. Then Echo and Omega are like, we have to go and save my brothers. And then they go in and they try to save the brothers, and then they easily defeat the Shadow Troopers with a few other clones and stuff like that, who will get wiped out. And then the Shadow Trooper people were just like, oh, we don't know how to do combat now, even though we did.
I hate it.
Defeated Bad Batch earlier, and then they just get defeated by a little girl. Which was really stupid. And then they all live happily ever after at the end. And then it cuts a big time gap, I think like 10 years or something like that, or even more.
Something like that.
If it's like that. And then we see an older Omega who's like, I'm going to fight with the Republic in the war. And then
the rebels.
Old man Hunter is like, I'm old. Okay, kid. Sure.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's all that happens.
And that's it. That's it.
That's it. This was so disappointing.
This was so disappointing, and it has a rating of 9.2 on IMDb.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Who's giving it a 9.2?
Well, 2.7 thousand people, apparently.
Well, they should all have their IMDb accounts removed. This was bad.
Yeah.
Like,
this
the
was
middle
bad.
word in this TV show. Bad Batch? No, it's just bad.
Bad.
Because the Batch rebellion. This is just so disappointing. You had the opportunity to do something really cool in a season that was really disappointing to begin with. And just dragged on, and then gets to the end and nothing happens. All of the drag was for nothing.
Yeah. All the build up on
so
what we thought things were going towards as well was like never paid off. You know, like the whole thing with Wolf and Rex and who the Shadow Trooper actually was, where he gets like easily defeated by like a metal rod. And it's just like, okay. Okay.
Yeah, we don't see
like,
anyone
what the
else.
fuck?
And this was an hour long episode too. Nothing happened in it.
49 minutes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the same thing. Whatever. But like, oh man, I don't even know what else to say about it because it was just bad. Don't watch it. Save yourself the time.
Finish at season 2. If you haven't watched Bad Batch yet, and you're like, oh, I want to watch it, stop at season 2. Stop when they kill Tech, because that was honestly peak Bad Batch. That was cool. No one was expecting that.
That had stakes. They could have done that again, but they didn't. This could have been the Rogue One of the animated shows, and it would have been amazing, and it would have deserved that 9.2. But it's not. It's nowhere near there. So I'm ready to jump over to final thoughts and ratings because this show sucks balls.
Yeah. So season 3 of Bad Batch, I give like a 4.
Really?
I'm thinking maybe a 3.5. Like I did not like this season. I can't remember.
4?
3.5. 3.5.
Yeah, all right.
I honestly, for the life of me, this entire like season, there was no like really key elements that are like I'm going to remember type thing. I
No.
honestly thought there would be. Like the only part I can remember is the Rex episode with Wolf, because I honestly thought that was
Yeah.
going to lead to something amazing,
Right.
and then it didn't.
There was like one good. There was like maybe 2 or 3 good episodes in this show, and a lot
Yeah.
of them were not furthering the plot at all. Like it was just
Yeah.
a really good filler episode. Like that 2-parter with the clones in the middle. That was pretty good for the most part. Like
Yeah.
it definitely has its moments, but they're so few and far between, and it doesn't build up to something. And the show's over. That's the ending. It's not like this is a dragged out forever. This is season 8 and it's got a bad finale. No, this is the
Yep.
like predetermined.
Oh, and can
pre-written
we talk
finale.
about Scorch? How they absolutely
Oh, yeah.
they dog Scorch. I'm just like,
He's
what
dead.
the fuck? Like I was
Yeah.
so frustrated at that
Yeah.
part.
That was so nothing gets resolved. We don't find out any answers to any questions.
Nope.
The Bad Batch just win, hey, and then they go live happily ever after on the island that the Imperials know exists. So like they could just blow them up again if they wanted, but they won't because they win. Haha.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
Hee
yeah.
haha.
Cool. I'm giving it a 3 out of 10,
Yeah.
and that's like for those 3 episodes that were good. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay.
So
do you wanna talk
anyway,
about something
on
that's
to other
actually good?
news. There we go. It's kicking it. I still didn't fix it yet. But there has been another animated show that Disney are releasing right now, which has been absolutely amazing.
Ba-na-na-na-na.
That's right. It's X-Men 97, which seems to be one of the best things in a long time Disney has released. And we are enjoying every single episode of it. And I'm not sure if they're going to keep up this quality for the next following season, because I'm kind of getting worried about because I don't have the showrunner who did the first season now.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. Is he already wrote the second season before they dropped him?
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think he had the first 2 or maybe even 3 seasons written, or at least ideas. But
Well, hopefully. We'll see what
that's cool.
happens.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But as to right now, this is the greatest Marvel show that they've done. Like,
Yeah,
since
because
Marvel Studios has been
they
a
will
thing.
kill people. They will kill your favorite X-Men character.
Over and over and bring it back. It
Over and
feels just
over.
like the comics. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so this episode is this like penultimate one. We've got one more.
Yes,
After
this is one more
setting
after
up the
this.
finale.
Yeah.
Second in the 3-parter finale,
Yeah.
in which the X-Men are like, oh no, everything's gone to shit. Magneto's like gotten like destroyed Earth's magnetic field, and he's like gonna kill
He's
the Earth.
declared war on humanity now.
He's going insane. He's like, yeah, I'm over this. Bastion, who nobody even knew of as an X-Men villain before last week, has quickly become amazing because he's had these Sentinels that are attacking everyone. So Magneto is like, I'm gonna kill all of these guys. That's happening. Sinister's over there too. Professor X is back. He's chilling
back
now. He's like, hey guys, back, and everyone's kind of pissed at that because
which was
like
hilarious.
faked his own death. It was hilarious. But yeah, no, they're not shying away from the fact Professor X is kind of a dick in a lot of X-Men stories. He's not the it's great.
This is the first time.
they're
This was absolutely great. Can we just talk about that scene for one moment? So basically, how the scene begins is like, well, close to it is Charles is having a conversation with Cyclops and Jean Grey, who are the original X-Men and stuff like that. And this is the best thing ever because all the comics, all the movies that they've done, Cyclops and Jean have always been like, yes, they'll do whatever Charles says and stuff like that. This is the first time ever that it's like, go fuck yourself, old man. We're doing this. I'm just like, yes,
no, definitely.
Yes, this is great.
It has happened in comics, but it's definitely new for screen. Because of that. But it leads to the X-Men getting new costumes, which was very exciting. Updating from the look of the 80s into the, like 90s looks. We get brown Wolverine, we get the top-headed Cyclops. Oh, that's really cool. But the team split up. So the premise of this is that they have to both split up. Half the X-Men go after Bastion and Sinister, and the other half go after Magneto in space. And also
Yep.
Rogue and Sunspot are gone off with Magneto now because they're like, he's right, you guys are idiots. Which makes sense. Magneto's pretty right in this situation, apart from the fact he's going to destroy the Earth. Like, it's a bit extreme, but he's got a point.
That's Magneto.
Yeah, so that happens. And then they fight. Cable is like under Sinister's control. That's happening. Up in space, the fight with Magneto was my favorite part. Charles basically uses him to mind controls him in order to reverse the Earth's magnetic field. Cyclops gets pissed because he's going to do that before Jean and the Jean team stop the Sentinels, and that would turn them back on and basically kill all mutants. So Cyclops shoots a laser at Professor X. There's so much tension in this one episode. It's amazing.
And then can we talk about
the
penultimate scene, which I never expected them in any animated form, especially not in anything whatsoever, to actually recreate this. Like, literally, it is one of the most iconic images in all of comics in regards to Wolverine. There is, at the end of this, where it all comes down and everything like that, Wolverine finally, after many years, stabs Magneto straight through the chest. And it's just like, holy shit, and there is blood. And he's just like,
this is a PG
does the whole
show.
line. This is, yep. But after that, though, obviously, Magneto is still alive. And then he turns around, and I did not expect them to do this. He literally rips out the adamantium out of Magneto, out of Wolverine, which is obviously a very big thing in the comics and everything. There is an iconic image. I forget who did. I think it was Jack Kirby who originally did that piece of like, the metal coming out and everything like out of Wolverine type thing. And it is like, when you compare the image, it's like 1-for-1. It is like literally the exact thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, holy shit.
Yeah, this show is the most faithful comic book adaptation I've ever seen. Okay, like 97. It somehow continues what made the 92 show good, and then just somehow makes it even more comic accurate and more enjoyable. This is a reboot series that's better than the original, Barry. Like, I don't think that's ever happened.
No.
Like, ever. In the history of TV, ever. Except maybe, like, I don't know, Doctor Who? Star Trek Next Generation? There's like 2 examples. That's it. And they're some of the greatest television ever made. This is very surprising for Marvel, of all people, to make a good television
This is
show.
another thing as well. I'm just like, this is an animated show coming from Disney and Marvel, and they've been able to get away with killing Gambit, basically killing Magneto, or where we thought, or vaporizing. They did the whole Genosha thing, which was very unexpected. And then, now we're actually like, they genocided a kid show. And now the whole scene of seeing adamantium getting ripped out of one of the most iconic Marvel characters of all time.
And it's great. Everyone's loving this show. I don't see like a single hate comment, apart from maybe like some animation being like, well, it looks a bit dated, yada yada. That's about it.
Yeah, but that's the whole point, because it's still meant to be from the 90s, so, you know.
But it looks just like the comic books. This looks more like What If is kind of a weird blend of comic book and animation, but this looks just straight out of the comics. I don't know how you could fault this in any way. It's amazing. I want 10 seasons of this right now, and I want it to continue this level of X-Men. Oh, good. Yeah, we have one more episode. We'll give it a rating next week. Expect high praise.
So do we expect, because obviously this has been a massive hit for Disney, and I just want to talk about this for a little bit. In last week's episode of part 1 of Tolerance of Extinction, we did see other members. Well, we have seen Captain America be introduced. We have seen Doctor Doom appear. We have seen Spider-Man appear in the show. A lot of talk apparently is going out now that potentially we might be seeing an animated Spider-Man show based upon the original 90s show with the same guy coming back, and they're going to call it Spider-Man 98.
Do it. Why not?
I was like, do it. Go for it.
Fuck yeah.
And that's the thing. Same as like the Fantastic Four animated show and everything like that. Like, go for it. Like, make your own animated world of like the Marvel
Why
characters
not?
like this, like you've done, that's separate from the
Yeah.
mainline MCU.
Mhm,
And then, because that's the thing, obviously
Yeah.
we are going to be introduced this year with the rise of Deadpool and Wolverine. X-Men will most likely be introduced coming after the events of this film. They are currently
Yep.
down to their final writers, final 2 writers at the moment for the new X-Men film.
Ooh,
I forget who
is
it
it
was.
us?
No.
Is it?
It was, I can't remember the guy, but he like wrote The Wheel of Time was one of them, and then another guy wrote something else that was quite well received.
Okay.
But yeah, it's
Sure.
gone down to the final 2 writers, so we'll know probably by the end of the week who it will be. And they will be rebooting the live action X-Men soon.
Very cool. I'm very one question though. Of what do you think is gonna happen in this show going forward? Like, what's gonna happen next episode? What's gonna happen next
I don't
season?
know. I don't know
Yeah?
what's gonna happen in this final episode. Like, obviously, Wolverine's not gonna be doing much.
No,
He's gonna be
probably
out of it.
not.
I feel like
fine with
that's
that.
gonna. But
fine
that's
with
the, I'm happy with that though, because that's going to lead to like a season 2 with his character being
Yeah.
like trying to find himself again, and we get to see Wolverine use his own bone claws again.
Yeah.
And
that'd be
everything
very
like
cool.
that, like go back to the OG and everything like that a bit more. So like that's gonna be a whole like redemption and like coming to terms that he's not have the adamantium anymore and stuff. That's gonna be a whole cool storyline. Or unless they've just killed him off because it hurt that much, that could be a thing. We don't know because it just stopped.
Ow. He's dead. No, they'll
Um,
definitely bring him back.
Yeah.
If this is following the comics, it definitely feels like season 2 is gonna set up like an apocalypse thing. Because in the comics, that's how Wolverine got his adamantium
Yes.
back, is through
Yep.
Apocalypse, and that would
Yep.
also be a way to bring back Gambit. And it feels like that's where they're going. But also in the comics is the Avengers and Spider-Man and everyone were in those like apocalypse issues. So it feels like they're definitely building up to the shows coming together in that sort of way. But as to what's happening in the like next episode, I have no fucking clue.
Yeah, a lot of people are suspecting there is a comic book storyline that we are following after this, where basically what will happen in next week's episode, because of the events of what Magneto just did to Wolverine, Xavier gets super pissed off at him and basically wipes his memory and basically takes like full control over Magneto type thing and makes him a good guy again. And he deletes
Yeah.
like all the bad stuff and like kind of manipulates him in a very strong way. He said he would never do it. And then basically he becomes good
Yeah.
again and
You should
everything
have
like
done
that.
that like 20 years ago.
Yeah. But then this then led to, in the background of things and stuff like that, I forget what it's called, but basically there's a split personality that Magneto ended up growing. And it becomes like
right.
this god level tier,
Oh,
like celestial
he's,
level.
what's his name? Yeah, he I can't remember. Oh, he becomes like a big dude. Oh, I can't
Yeah.
right? What is his name? Onslaught.
Onslaught, that's
Right?
it.
Isn't that
That's
what he
it.
goes
Yeah,
by?
Onslaught.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a
I
lot of
remember now.
people are suspecting that this is what like either season 3 or season 4 will be about.
Hell yeah.
It will be eventually
That
about
could be cool.
Onslaught. So
It wouldn't surprise me if they do like an Onslaught and Apocalypse next season.
Yeah.
That'd be a hell of a two.
oh yeah, and I found out the
Wow.
reason why they didn't have Deadpool in this show, and apparently they won't for the next couple seasons. Because they got
Oh.
basically they wanted to have a little Deadpool cameo, but they got told because of Deadpool and Wolverine, you can't touch that character.
What?
Yep.
Wolverine's in it.
Yeah,
That doesn't make
I-
any sense.
would say probably because if they wanted to do him in the animated show, they would make him out to be the villain, like Deadpool originally was, where
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool is
They
not.
don't want that, do they?
They don't want that.
Yeah.
So
But I feel like that's fine. Or even
Yeah.
just because they've done plenty of changes from the original show. Deadpool only shows up in that as like a one-off, kind of there. They could
He's, like, there for
100%
3
just put him
seconds.
in and have him be current Deadpool, right?
yeah,
I don't think that's an issue. But also I'm like the comic book lines that we're following, Deadpool didn't exist when these were written. So I'm
Yeah.
also kind of okay with it. So sure. But that hasn't
Yeah.
stopped other characters showing up, like Magic. Magic showed
Hulk-
up as a morph
Hulk.
transformation. Oh yeah, what about the Hulk episode? Did Morph can turn into the Hulk now?
Yeah.
I thought it was only mutants, but it turns out
No, he
Morph
can turn into
be
anyone.
Is Morph the most powerful character in the MCU? Like, low
He's
key.
pretty high up there. Low
Because we
key.
thought it was like the chick from Secret Invasion who has everyone's powers now, but it's actually
Like,
Morph.
nah, it's Morph. Morph.
Yeah, it's Morph. Fucking Morph. I love Morph. I hope they do
Morph
so
is
much more with Morph.
yeah. I want to see Morph in live action.
Nobody has ever liked Morph until this show. Nobody's ever
Yeah.
cared about Morph. Even the original show, though, like nobody knew who Morph was, even though he's in it.
Yeah.
Whereas this
Yeah.
one, everyone loves Morph. I love it.
Everybody loves Morph.
It's great.
That's his
Oh, man, I love
sideshow.
everyone in this
Everybody
show.
loves Morph.
I would so watch. It's like Alf. He's just in like a regular family. He just turns into them.
Oh, that'd be
I'd watch
great.
that. It's a sitcom.
I'd watch that.
Everyone
Yeah.
loves Morph. Oh hell yeah! That should be a what if. What if everyone loves Morph? Alright,
Well, that's us on a high note at the end of this episode, which I think we will leave it for this week's episode. So, thanks for coming out, everyone. Obviously, we'll be back here, hopefully at a regular schedule and everything like that. Sorry about missing last week, but we are here. We're doing things. We finally got to talk about a film, which, by the way, if you do like action films, go and see it. Go and support it. You know, it's a decent film. It's a decent film. If not, go and watch X-Men. X-Men's phenomenal. We'll catch you all next time. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. See you later.
Bye now. I feel like we need catchphrases at the end. We need
Everybody
like
loves
a
Morph.
line.
There we go.
Oh yeah, right. That's what we'll end it on.